How's it going? This is Sean Alpha, and with me is a very special guest. Uh, and this is introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason Moody. I'm the co-creator of a project called Iota Soul.
Uh, so tell us about sort of the Iota Soul project.
Yeah, definitely. Iota Soul is a nonprofit project designed to help raise awareness for orphans and basically promote and show their living conditions around the world and some of the trials that they face. And we're going to be telling their stories through our characters. And it's going to be a fun, action-packed anime, but also sobering and tell some stories that are going to be pretty impactful and empowering. So,
Cool. So what got you actually into this project?
let's see. There's the guy who started it. His name's Tony Bradshaw. He works out in Nashville, and he just kind of came up. He had this vision. He had a heart for orphans, but he wanted to do something that was a little out of the box, a little unique. And he had, he was into media and he was into anime, and he just, he felt like this was going to be something that he could do. He was like, man, I should see if contact some artists, put together some people, and create a anime project that does this. And so he got a hold of me. I did a project called Scarlet Veronica. I actually wrote and with a couple other small team, we created a comic that was published and went nationwide. It was in comic shops all over the place here in the States. And published by Ape Entertainment. And I think he saw that and got a hold of me and messaged me, and so that was that. And he basically gave me the pitch for the project, and I instantly was like, man, that's something I want to be a part of. And over the years, I've taken a bigger role. It kind of started out as more just I was creating characters for him, and over the last couple of years, he's kind of put me more in charge, and basically retooled it about a year ago. I kind of started from scratch, reset the vision, reset the model. We actually released like 3 issues on the website, and they were just web comics. That was it. Just no motion, nothing, just black and white web comics. And about a year ago, I'm actually a designer, a multimedia designer by day. I work for JP Morgan Chase, and that's kind of what I do. I create interactive motion training, and I was like, I should take that, combine it with what we're doing for Iota Soul, and then see if I can partner with some big voice acting names, and like, let's do this thing. Like, let's do it for real, and create an iPad app and an Android app and make it as cinematic as we can, full color motion, audio, music. And so I started reaching out. I kind of put together a pitch. And actually everybody can go and take a look at that pitch at iotasoul.info. And started sending it out and got some good feedback.
Cool. And before you started working on this project, did you have like any interest in working with these organizations before that, or?
Actually, yeah, definitely. Me and my wife, we've done a few kind of mission trips before, and we're actually planning one right now as a team, as the Iota Soul team. We're going to be going to Nuevo Laredo, which is actually where our story starts out. And we're going to be going there and working with an orphanage and kind of just doing some fun stuff with them, doing music and doing like a day camp down there and just working with them. But before I got involved with Iota Soul, that was, definitely a passion of mine. And we had done a couple small things in the States, not outside of the States. We had done a couple small city things where we worked with homeless or worked with kids, that kind of stuff.
And how have you started? How long were you into like anime or comic books before you started getting into these projects?
Hey, can you give me 1 second, man? I gotta go and tell my wife to keep my my children at bay.
Sure.
Thanks.
I'm just gonna pause the recording then.
Okay.
Okay. So how long were you into comics and anime before you started getting into these projects?
I grew up on comics, and kind of unbeknownst to me, I kind of grew up on anime as well. I just didn't know until later that what I was watching was anime. You know, obviously, I actually loved this show called The Mysterious Cities of Gold, as a kid, and it was an anime. I had no idea. I didn't know what anime was at the time, but loved the show. And then as I got a little older, I got into like Dragon Ball, and like in my early teen years. And then that's around the time that I discovered, the word anime, what anime was, and then from there it just kind of blew up, and I got into everything else. Trigun's one of my favorites. I like Fooly Cooly. And so I was definitely into anime and was watching anime before I got contact. So I just hadn't done a lot of drawing of it. I hadn't actually done a lot of anime art. My style was much more American, and comic book influenced. And so that was a little bit of a challenge. It took me some time to really refine and get the style. But over the years, I think I've come up with a pretty cool style.
Cool. So what type of anime or comics do you actually get a lot of your inspiration from?
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, I was actually a fan of Johnny Young Bosch already, because I loved Naruto, and Trigun and Bleach. I haven't made it too far in Bleach, but I actually just recently started it after kind of talking and working with Johnny. And so recently I've gotten into Bleach, but for sure Trigun's been an influence, and Naruto stylistically is an influence. I just really like the look of Naruto. And then Akira Toriyama, all of his stuff. I'm pretty influenced by Dragon Ball and the other things that Akira's done. Trying to think. Outlaw Star. I really like the look at Outlaw Star back in the Toonami days.
We're just getting a re-release of the DVD collection over here by a crowd called Anime Limited. So
really, of Outlaw?
Yeah, so it's just starting to get popular again now because it's now available to buy.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have the kind of re-release of Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball Kai stuff? Because that's picking up steam over here. Like Dragon Ball's having a bit of a resurgence.
Dragon Ball is always going to be popular over here.
Yeah. Yeah,
although there's always going to be a bit of debate whether Dragon Ball Kai or original Dragon Ball Z is better.
Yeah. That's tough. Dragon Ball Kai is interesting because, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Japanese scoring. Not that Funimation does a great job. I mean, it's serviceable, but sometimes the Japanese score, for me personally, just doesn't quite fit the mood. It's like sometimes it's weird. It's like there's an intense scene and the music's kind of happy and peppy. It weirds me out sometimes, but I definitely love that intro though. The Dragon Ball Z Kai intro is awesome. It's really well done. And then now they're releasing, I think because of the resurgence over here, they're releasing the Battle of the Gods movie in theaters. And so we're jazzed about that. We're going to go and check that out. We might actually try to go and set up for our project at the local theater. And
the one about booze pudding?
Yeah.
But what is do you guys actually have sort of an end goal of what you guys want to accomplish out of here?
Yeah, so right now what we're aiming for, we got a couple short-term goals and then obviously a couple long-term goals. A short term, we want to produce the first issue, the episode, I guess. We're calling them episodes. And so we're aiming for like a end of September timeframe to have episode 1 completely recorded with our voice actors, animated, and then set up for at the very least web. We would like to have it on iPad by September as well. I have an iPad app and have it accessible for mobile and tablets and stuff like that, because that's, for us, that's our big thing. I think that's the way people are really going to enjoy what we're doing, and it's just such an amazing distribution format. I mean, the times are changing, the world's changing, and the way that media and content is being consumed has changed drastically in the last 5 to 10 years. And so, I just as someone who's on the avant-garde of tech, tablet and mobile consumption is huge. It's the primary way that people consume media nowadays. So that's where we want to be. And so that's for short term. Like, I would love for the release in September to be on web and on iPad. And then
Hello? And we're back again.
Okay. So Dragon Ball, Battle of the Gods, I think is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Battle of the Gods, they're releasing it, to theaters. So we're going to go, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see Dragon Ball on the big screen.
So, have you had much success actually over in America trying to advertise the project?
Yeah, we've gone to a few conventions and had awesome responses. We went to Indie Pop, which was pretty good. I think around a 10 to 15,000 person convention. And we were at a convention called Iota, which is an awesome anime convention, one of the bigger ones. I think 10 to 12,000 people, but all just anime. Indie Pop's more of a pop culture convention. Iota is, 10,000 anime fans. And so we had an awesome response at Iota. That was in January. And, just people loved it. We had a tablet displaying the demo, so people were able to kind of see how the motion comic was going to work. And people loved it. I mean, they were just, because there's some interactivity. I mean, we're not just doing, when I say motion comic, it's not what most people think of when they hear motion comic. It's interactive, and to some extent you control elements of the story by you kind of almost game level interaction. Not like it's not like an Xbox One game, but it's, there is some interactivity. And so people just, man, when they are able to slide one of the characters over to punch someone else, and they look up and they're just like, did that just happen? Is this real? Is this a real comic? And we're like, yeah, this is coming out. We're going to, in every page, we're going to have some level of really fun, engaging activity for people to get engrossed into the story. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun. OhioCon was cool. We have, I think, 4 more conventions this year slated for us to go to and set up and come up with the project. And
cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys, what would, if someone was interested in, helping out the project, whether to be an artist or, a voice actor type of thing? Because we have a couple of listeners that are professional voice actors.
I'm sorry, say again?
we do have a couple of professional artists and voice actors. If they wanted to help out with the project, is there ways of helping out?
Yeah, that's actually one of our big things. We really, really want to sort of crowdsource this in a lot of ways, and have fans be a part of the project. And if people were to follow us on Twitter, or on our Facebook page or on iotasoul.com, we're posting as we create. Everything's going to be for the fans to watch us make it. Like, they're going to be able to follow every step of the process, and then even get involved in different points. We're going to be doing contests where, like, when you're going to be a character in the comic at some point, or you might be able to win a place where you get to voice a character. And then we have a whole forum dedicated to aspiring voice actors who can audition for parts. And you'd be voice acting alongside of the likes of Johnny Young Bosch from, Vash the Stampede, Tiffany Grant, Vic Mignogna, some of these characters, Vic did, Edward Elric. Like, they're already signed on. They've committed to doing main characters in Out of Soul. And so we want to be able to get fans to be able to have their dream and have a voice that's literally communicating and having conversations with some of their favorite voice actors.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So what is actually the story of Iota Soul?
Yeah, so it takes place, like I said earlier, it takes place in Nuevo Laredo. Actually, the Nuevo Laredo is a border town of Mexico and America, USA. And it basically sits on the Rio, which is a big river down that sort of separates Mexico and the U.S. And there's a ton of drug trafficking at that city. It's a real city, and it has some of the biggest and widespread drug trafficking in the States. And so our story kind of starts there, and we have two brothers who are in the foster care system in Texas, and they live on the Laredo side. And then we have a boy whose parents were murdered by cartels. His name's Dominic, and he's voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. And he lives on the Mexico side in Nuevo Laredo. And so the story starts there, and we kind of meet them and what they're doing and how they're coping with life as orphans. And from there, the story starts to go more into an anime direction. And so we establish kind of a realistic, this is what kids are dealing with. And then we introduce another element. There's this company called Stella Ryan. I'm sorry. There's a company called Stella Ryan, and the CEO, his name is Samson Arcus, and that's who Vic Mignogna is playing. And his company discovers an energy called the Iota Soul. And this energy would change the world in terms of, free, clean, reliable energy, renewable. But the only way to get to it is through human souls. And the best way to get it is through the souls of children. They discover this through, through testing. And so they end up, through backdoor deals and through their might of industry and who they are as a company, they're able to just kind of, they get the kids that aren't going to be missed. They find children, in other countries and even in the U.S. who are the left outs, the invisibles, the kids that nobody's looking for, and they use them as guinea pigs to do their testing on and to channel and harvest this energy that they've discovered. But what they don't know is some of these kids, instead of channeling it, nothing happens. And so the company thinks that these kids are just duds. They don't know what's going on. They send them back out on the street, but it's revealed that these kids weren't channeling it. They were it was building up inside of them. And they get abilities, they get powers, and they're able to fight back and save their friends and save other kids. And they travel around the world. This kind of core group of kids that get these abilities, they band together and they travel around the world helping other orphans. And ultimately trying to stop this corporation that a lot of people in the world thinks good on the front, on their facade, is this benevolent sort of philanthropic company, but in the end, the kids, the hope is that the kids are able to eventually kind of pull back that veil and reveal the dark underbelly.
Cool, that absolutely sounds amazing. So, just sort of as a finish up type of thing, where would you go for like all this information?
Yeah, so
The project.
What's cool is that Johnny's already starting to kind of promote it a little bit. We got a very, very cool like promo video that we've created. That's on YouTube, and it's been posted on Johnny's Twitter and the Iota Soul Twitter. But we got twitter.com/IotaSoul. We have Facebook.com/IotaSoul, and then IotaSoul.com. And those are the three main ways that we're kind of communicating with fans. IotaSoul.com is a cool community, and that's where if you're really interested in getting involved in the project, you want to be voices, we're doing contests on there. That's kind of our main hub is IotaSoul.com. And from there, you can kind of get to everything else.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for talking with us, type of thing. And we're going to definitely share, sort of spread the word for the project because, we find this to be such a great idea.
Awesome, man. If I share one more thing,
Sure.
the more philanthropic side and the nonprofit side of what we're doing, one of the cool features, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but one of the cool features is that throughout the comic, throughout the motion comic, we're going to be putting people in contact with organizations and foundations and ministries that help kids. And so that was kind of one of our long-term goals that I was kind of getting to, is that ultimately Iota Soul would be this very cool kind of aggregator of ministries and groups that work with kids. And so as you as a reader, as a fan of Iota Soul, you're reading the motion manga and you get involved in some of the characters. There will be places that we show, oh wow, you're really relating to this character B, and she's this underground kickboxer in Thailand, forced. There's this documentary called Buffalo Girls, and so our inspiration comes from that, and it's about these girls who are forced into underground kickboxing. Not all of them are forced, but some of them are, and so in Thailand, that's one of the, it's a hub, a worldwide hub for human trafficking. And so in the story, you're following this character who's taken right out of her real life. She's based on one of these girls, and you're reading it, you're connecting to her. And then we go, oh, well, here's a foundation that works with girls in Thailand. Here's a ministry that you can get involved in. You want to go on a mission trip to Thailand? We can put you in contact with that as you're reading. Just little ways of, Easter eggs and things like that where you get to connect and find out, wow, I can get involved. And so that's one of the big components of this, man. That's how we're actually really going to be connecting fans with the mission. So I felt like I really needed to share that bit.
That's really amazing, man. And, we'll definitely be we've been sharing your videos, your websites, your Twitter account for the last maybe 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Since you originally first contacted us.
Yeah.
So we've been sort of pumping them out, and we're going to hopefully get more and more conventions here in Ireland and eventually in England as well.
Wow.
Because our podcast will be hitting English conventions next year. So
awesome. Yeah.
We're getting Iota Soul, pimped out at all these conventions sometime in the future. So,
man, we thank you so much for that. And a lot of this is going to be from this reaching out and connecting with fan communities and connecting with podcasts and connecting with, groups like you guys who are really reaching out to the fans and this is something that we just want to feel very communally, and we want the fans to feel like they're part of it, not just sitting back and watching it, not just observing it, but engaged and making a difference and promoting it. And so we thank you so much for being kind of a a hand, in this project. We really.
No problem. And you can, like, for our listeners, you can check out Iota Soul at iotasoul.com. Yep.
Yep.
Cool. And this is Sean Alpha, and with me is Jason Moody for a Geek Era special.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys.
Yep.